Alright, welcome to another YouTube video if you guys are watching from YouTube. Today we're going to be going over some patch notes, patch 13.8 in League of Legends. And as we can see here, we got a couple of nerfs, Asol, Jarvan, Kayn, Malphite, Rakan, and a couple of buffs for Ezreal, Garen, Janna, Kha'Zix, Kog'Maw, Leona, Lilia, Nidalee, and Poppy. So we're just going to be going over like what I think about this and like how it's going to change the meta, things like that. Overall, when I look at this, doesn't seem to be too much of a meta shift. Jarvan was way too strong and Malphite was way too strong. So it is good that they're getting tuned down. Asol has the problem of like infinite scaling. So it makes sense that they're nerfing him for iron to gold elos. Because people don't punish him and then he can just scale for free. So that makes complete sense. So we're going to take a look. We're going to increase the size here. We're just going to take a look at the patch notes. Asol health growth 95 to 90 and armor growth 4.3 to 4. Okay, so they didn't actually change the problem with why he's OP in that elo. So it definitely feels like Riot doesn't know what they're doing. That's okay because that happens every patch. Let's talk about Ezreal. Base attack damage going up by 2. This is pretty good because his Q scaling, his auto attacks, a lot of his ability scaling off AD. So that 2 AD is going to help him out a little bit with skirmishes. Garen, base attack damage going from 66 to 69. Base armor going from 36 to 38. This is going to help him with like poke champions quite a bit. So if you're laning against, like, let's say for example Gnar, if you're taking a lot of chip damage, this is going to help you out with that sustain. And then the attack damage is very like primarily just going to help you out with wave clear and then a little bit more of all in as well. So I personally don't think Garen needed a buff, but let's see what they have to say. Garen hasn't been living in his best spin to win life recently, meaning he hasn't been able to win early trades against other melee champions, which is supposed to be one of his strong points. We're buffing up his base damage and early durability to help him find his groove again. The problem with this is when you buff a champion that is very simple kitted, all right, that's when you get to the point of stat checking. And this becomes a very big issue because you get champions like Malphite, where Malphite just stat checks and then wins because he's very easy to, execute. And same with Annie. So Annie and Malphite have this very, very big issue of they can just stat check you. And because of their easy playstyle, this is why you see Malphite played in pro play, whereas like you should never really be seeing Malphite played in pro play. And same with Annie. In the LPL, Knight picked Annie, right? One of the best mid laners in the world picked Annie. One of the easiest mechanical champions in the world. Why? Because he could just stat check them. And so this is a very big issue that Riot does overlook. Whereas like Garen's spin, like what do you do to counter that? It's like if you're inside the range, you take damage. If you're outside the range, you don't take damage. So if you're making it so that the play is once you're inside the range, there is no counterplay besides like flashing. It becomes very unhealthy when you're stat checking like this. So the fix to this is not changing stats. It's just to like fix the play style of the champion. But it becomes very difficult to do that, especially if you have like 50 champions with this exact same issue. But Annie, Malphite being one of the biggest cases right now. So hopefully it doesn't become the same case with Garen with these changes as well. Just absolutely dominating early game and then just winning mid game. That would be not fun. Janna W damage is increased, so we go Zephyr. So they're putting a little bit more damage back into Zephyr. They took out damage previously. They're putting it back. Flat damage level 1 is going to be increased by 10, and then it's going to be 60 AP scaling as well. This is a pretty good change for, just being able to trade back a little bit extra damage. And then shield decay timer is 1.25 seconds to 2.5 seconds. This is actually a massive buff. Going from 1.25 to 2.5 seconds. Let me decline this. Sorry about that. That's gonna make a big difference actually. I didn't even know they changed this, but I really do like the change for Janna. Yeah, this is a very big buff and a big W for Janna enjoyers. Alright, let's talk about Jarvan. Jarvan's been a little bit too strong, so he is getting nerfed. 0.4 to 3 attack damage growth. His flat, like, what is it called? His flat scaling, or not flat scaling. His flat stats, base stats, were too strong, alright? So, reducing it by 0.4, so like, let's say, for example, at level 6, he's going to be losing 2.4. At level 6, or level 7, technically, because level 1, you're starting with the base amount. 2.4 is a considerable amount, considering that his Q scales off of it. I think his E does, and then his ulti. So, they're also reducing the damage of his Q by 10 flat damage at every rank. So, they're just reducing the amount of damage he does, which is understandable. I think this is a fine change. Let's see. Jarvan has been excelling in solo queue, always been strong early ganker, but now he can build damage. Yeah, you can build damage and just beat you up. And there's nothing you can do about it. Unless he misses his combo, which is kind of hard to do. Now, Kayn getting nerfed. Shadow Step, Shadow Assassin. Bonus movement speed, yeah, is a little too fast. That's understandable. Cooldown going from 8 seconds to 10 seconds. I mean, early game to mid game, this will make a little bit of a difference. Or actually, just mid game, it'll make a little bit of a difference. But the same problem is going to exist with Blue Kayn, where he's going to be flying through your walls and there's nothing you can do about it. And then he just pokes you down with W, and then you cry, and then someone gets caught out, and then you lose the fight. That's what's going to happen. So, this change does not do anything. Kha'Zix. I do like the buff that they're doing to Kha'Zix. He's been a little too weak, especially in team fights as well. Bonus physical damage, or the physical damage is going from 60 to 70, so 10 flat at every rank. I don't really like this change. This is more for PvE. It's not really for like his main issue, which is like team fighting or getting picks. Getting picks is fine. Like he does enough damage getting picks, but he's just kind of like not really good in the meta. So I'll say this is just good for clear speed. I don't know exactly how that's gonna affect his gameplay per se, but I mean, a buff is a buff. 10 physical damage on his Q, his most used ability in the jungle, is gonna significantly increase his clear speed, which is perfectly fine. Now let's talk about Kog'Maw. This is terrible. Now this is how you know Riot does not know how to balance this, where they're giving a buff to his passive. Alright, so let's talk about Kog'Maw a little bit. Kog'Maw is an ADC, generally. Traditionally an ADC. And his passive is, whenever he dies, he gains a form, right? It's called a Cathian Surprise, where he walks around, he's invulnerable, but then he explodes after a short period of time. Now, the problem with utilizing this passive is, as an ADC, you want to be alive. Alright, so for the passive to be only utilized after death, which is the same problem with Zyra before. If you guys do remember, Zyra passive used to be you turn into a giant plant and then shoot like a missile, all right, after you die, but you can only utilize it after you die. This needs to be removed from Kog'Maw's kit. This is very unhealthy, and you can't utilize it unless you die, which is like, what's the point, right? Why can't I only utilize a passive when I'm dead? That doesn't seem very very good. So now Ghosted, while in his passive form, all right, so Kog'Maw can stick onto its target a little bit better after he dies. Like, I don't it's kind of laughable that this is the change that they make to his passive instead of giving him an actual passive, or just reworking him in general. So I think this is such a such a funny change. Caustic Spittle going from 8 seconds to 7 seconds. This is a buff, just straight up buff. I think these changes will make a bigger change for AP Kog'Maw in general. So Q, cooldown reduced, which is fine for both. And then E, let's talk about E. The mana cost is reduced by 20 level 1. So what that means is if you're going AP Kog'Maw level 1, you can spam this a little bit more It's getting reduced by about 33% from its original amount. And the slow is also getting increased. So from 20 to 30% level 1. This is just a straight up buff to AP Kog'Maw. It's still good for AD, but primarily you'd be looking at this and be like, okay, AP Kog'Maw is a little bit better. Especially with the Seraphs changes, maybe with Cosmic Drive changes, because the Cosmic Drive changes are, you know, live now. So we're going to be testing that out today. I think AP Kog'Maw is going to make a return. This is probably a champion that, yeah, it's very possible. So if you see AP Kog'Maw in the next couple of days, you know, this might be why. Leona, W armor and magic resistance increased, magic damage increased. Okay, so it's going to be 5 flat every rank. So the most important one is going to be the level 1. So 5 increased at level 1, which is nice. And then 5 increased bonus magic resist at level 1 as well. Magic damage is going to be increased by 10. Overall, just a buff. It'll help her be a little bit tankier, get a little bit better trades. Do I think this is going to bring her back into the meta? 5 armor and magic resist is a decent amount, but like the problem with that is like you could just like not get engaged by Leona unless she flashes. In that case, it's like the bonus armor and magic resist isn't too important unless it's like a straight up 1v1. So I would say in lower elo, this is a straight up buff. In higher elos, you can kind of choose and select your targets. So we'll see. We'll see what kind of position Leona's in. I don't think this is that big of a difference. Lilia. Create more diversity in champion picks at the mid-season invitational. So they're making changes for MSI. Damage reliant AP junglers. Blah, 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 blah. Cool. Monster damage cap is going to 70. Okay, early game. That's a big change. She's going to have much higher clear speed. 40% more damage at level 1 against monsters. Okay. Wait, this is a huge change. Healing against monsters is going from 24 to 30, not... Hold up, let me read the rest of this. Healing against champions is 6 to 120 to 6 to 90. 30% AP. Okay. Clear speed, straight up buff, right? You just get insane clear speed. You get a bunch of healing. And then you get higher healing later on in the game. Right? The flat healing is reduced based on level. So max level, I'm assuming this is 18. It's 90, but you get 30% AP scaling. I don't know what Riot is thinking about this, but this looks broken. New Cosmic Lilia? Okay, I think Riot have made a mistake. And they might hotfix this, to be honest. We'll see though. Yeah, I don't think this is okay at all. 24 to 75, 39 to 54. So this amount at level 18 does not matter as much as the early healing, right? Because late game, like, you're not taking damage anyway from camps. So like the amount of healing that you get doesn't really matter unless you're like trying to re-engage after a fight. This does not matter. In some situations it does, but for the most part, like for clear speed and just being healthy, this is ridiculous. This is insane. Okay, cool. W Thunderclap. Malphite has been a little bit too strong in every elo, I would say. He's kind of like just pick or ban. Not like as prevalent as pick or ban, but like pretty strong pick. So they're changing it from 30, 45, 60 to 30, 40. So they're reducing it by 5 each rank, which is fine. He's been a little bit too strong, just flat stats. Physical damage is going to be 15, 25, 55, 30% AP, 15%. So reduced by 5% armor. Do I think this is the biggest nerf to Malphite? This is a considerable nerf. Do I think this is going to change him as much? I don't know. We would have to test the numbers with like actual items and stats, but it's a considerable change. I don't know how much though, because like I feel like W is a big issue. I don't know. I don't know what to say about Malphite actually. We'll just have to see. I think this is a decent nerf though. I think this is an okay nerf. That's fine. Nidalee base armor going from 28 to 32. Okay, so in jungle, she's going to be able to jungle a little bit more effectively while staying a little bit healthier. Armor growth is going to 5. This is fine. I like this. Yeah, this is fine. This is also just kind of a buff to top lane Nidalee as well. So we'll see how that changes that. We'll see if top lane Nidalee is going to be brought back by, you know, the Shy. The Shy is very good at playing a lot of mechanical champions. He brings a lot of weird picks. He also played Nidalee top. He's played Kalista top. That's the one that he's like most known for. And yeah, we'll see if Nidalee top becomes a menace after these changes. This is primarily for jungle camps though. It'll be a little bit healthier. Poppy getting buffed. I don't really understand the Poppy buffs. I thought she was fine, but maybe they want to see her more for MSI, so they're buffing Poppy to be like kind of a what is it called? A counter to dash champions, like mobile champions. A lot of junglers, if you see, are mobile junglers that can like jump over walls and things like that. For example, Kindred, Sejuani. You have Wukong, that's very meta. Vi. So, oh, my alarm is going off. Yeah, so she's a very anti-mobile kind of champion. Let me turn off my alarm. For a second, I was like, what is that sound? All right, let's talk about Rakan. Bonus resist. This will be doubled to 24% while Poppy is below 40% maximum health. I don't know if this is new, but yeah, to 24. That's cool. That's fine. Just being a little bit tankier, a little bit more of a menace. Rakan's win rate and presence has been ramping up since 13.3. Okay. He has been very strong overall. This will help him with like just not taking random trades and winning just for fun. So this is a fine change. I like it. That's good. Cosmic Drive. This is the big one. This is the one that I want to be testing today. What they're changing. So let me give you a TLDR if you guys don't know anything about Cosmic Drive. Previously, it used to be 90 ability power, but the passive gave you 40. The passive gave you 40 AP. So total, you'd be at 130 ability power after casting 3 separate instances of damage. So for Ahri, that would be like Charm, Q, and W. All right. But now, instead of doing that, the flat AP is going to be 100. So the total amount of AP you're going to get is going to be 100. And the maximum amount of move speed you're going to get is 20%. Now, how this is going to work is after your first instance of damage, you're going to start at 10%. And every 1.5 seconds that from that instance of damage, you'll gain 2.5% movement speed. So over the course of 4 ticks, which is a total of 6 seconds, right? So you'll have to do the first instance of damage all the way up to 6 seconds. You'll get 20% movement speed at the end. It's kind of confusing, but all you need to know is that after your first instance of damage, your movement speed is going to ramp up by 2.5%. Now, how is this for Ahri? Let's talk about this a little bit. For Ahri, it's going to hurt a little bit that the 30%, or not 30%, the 30 AP is getting removed, because that was pretty like a big reason why you'd go W max, so you can constantly spam that AP value. But because they're removing the 30 AP and turning it into more movement speed, this allows for a bit more diversity in mana mythics. So for example, you can utilize it a little bit better with Everfrost now. You can utilize it a lot better as well with Ludens. Because previously, Ludens with Cosmic Drive is kind of a waste because you just do all your burst with Ludens, first combo, and then you'd get the AP, right? But it's like, you have no cooldowns. So with this change, you get the flat 100 AP, so you don't have to do 3 instances of damage. And you can basically have a lot of mobility to kind of stick to the target and just keep doing big bursts of damage. So do I think this is a good change for Ludens? It's a massive buff for Ludens. A slight nerf for Liandry's. It's still good because you get a lot of movement speed to be able to kite in and out. But the biggest thing with Ludens is that it stacks based on... So Ludens is a 10-second cooldown and gets reduced by 0.5 every time you hit like a champion with an ability. So if you're always in and out, hitting them with, you know, the 100 AP, you're going to be dealing a lot of damage with Ludens. So this is a big buff to Ludens, moderate buff to Everfrost, and then kind of a nerf to Liandry's, but still good. We'll see. So I think this is a unique change. Do I like it? Not as much because it kind of nerfs Liandry's, and I really do like playing Liandry Ahri with Cosmic Drive. It was probably the most fun playstyle in the game for me. But we're going to have to test it out today. So if you guys are watching this video from YouTube and you guys see this uploaded now, I am live on Twitch, twitch.tv/LegitKorea. I'm going to be testing out all the, you know, buffs, changes for all these champions, and we're going to be testing out Cosmic Drive as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.